All right, it's Andrew Ridgie on Hospitality and Politics, powered by the New York City Hospitality Alliance, and I am with Roger Clark from Spectrum News NY1. How you doing?
Hey, great to see you. I mean, usually we're like, I'm interviewing you or we're on a panel or something. So it's kind of cool to just sit and hang out.
I love this. You know, I was thinking like on the way over here because you are one of those people in New York City that's like a New York City treasure, I believe. And I was thinking, I was like, we should talk to someone to get you like landmarked, but I guess only buildings are landmarked, but like maybe a key to the city or something. I just, like so many other New Yorkers, just am a huge fan of you. So I'm so thrilled to have you sitting there.
Well, it's been a good run. I've been, fortunate to be able to like tell stories in my hometown. I mean, I had to go away for a little bit but I got to come back. Yeah. And now I've been back almost, now it's coming up on 24 years. So
wow. So let's set up. So I think a lot of people, obviously, if you're in New York and you watch NY1, you know Roger Clark, you know what you do. But for people who may not know you and know the show, what is your job? Because it is really, people must say it's like the best job out there, other than maybe the early mornings.
I get that a lot. No, yeah. I get that a lot. And that's actually a great compliment because it's not, but yeah, basically, officially I'm the features reporter, right? Okay. So I'm doing like, your featurey stuff. Now, when all hell breaks loose, all hands on deck, obviously. So over the years, I've covered 9/11, I covered Sandy, all kinds of different whatever events, election day. But for the most part, I'm out doing community stories, fun things, culture, museums, you name it. So, every once in a while I get spoiled and get to do sports because some of you are sports fans. So that's fun. Opening day, if the Mets happen, the Yankees are in the playoffs, yay. I'm there usually, so that's cool. That's
amazing. All right, so it's the morning show though. So this is one of the things I always want to know. What time do you wake up in the morning to get on set?
I'm lucky because we have producers who are there at the studio at 2:30 a.m., 3 a.m. So that's a life changer. Like then you're going to bed like 7, 8 o'clock at night, maybe, right? In my case, I'm pretty lucky. My alarm's going off around 4:30. All right. So it's not too bad. And I'm at location around 6 a.m.
All right. So you could be a baker. You could go in and bake the bread and bake the cookies.
And say like the Mets are on and they're not on the West Coast. I could like push it. Yeah. And say, oh no, it's 10 o'clock and I'm still going to get 6 hours sleep. Yeah. It's not too bad.
So you're like always in different neighborhoods. You're across the 5 boroughs, and it's like, you could be at a stadium for a sporting event. You could be at a museum. You could be like on the corner of the block where there's someone who's just interesting because they juggle and do flips at the same time. And it's just like an interesting story. So how do you find, I know you have producers, but you're on every day practically. So how do you find all these stories and these New York stories?
I think, it's kind of a combination after all these years in the market. So it's, more than 20 years, people are starting to seek me out, which is like the greatest. I like, please tell my story, which is always nice. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But most of the time, I'd say probably more than 80% of the things I do on NY1 are I'm coming up with on my own.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty significant because I get swamped with ideas. So it's not like I'm, and there'll be a couple of slow periods during the year, like right after the holidays, where all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Yeah. And that's when I start pulling stuff out and like if I have nothing, like a couple of years back, it was a slow period and I just decided to start, it would be fun to go to the last stop on a subway line and just walk out and then say, what's here? Yeah. So I did this thing called End of the Line and people loved it. So I wound up doing almost every end of the line just because of that one day when I was having a slow day. Yeah. So that was really fun.
That's so nice. And it's like creative. A lot of times I guess when you're doing the news, you're talking about the news, news changes, but there's general themes. But like in your role, you're constantly going out and finding new, exciting things in New York and you get to see all of these different neighborhoods and it's such like an enriching experience, I imagine.
It's a good learning. I still say I'll be honest. I'm 57 years old. I'm going to be 58 in November. I'm still learn something almost every day with this job. Like I'll go places, I get spoiled too because I'm going to like the Whitney and talking to a top curator. Or I'm going to the Museum of Natural History and I'm talking to their, Neil deGrasse Tyson or their head paleontologist, and they're telling me about dinosaurs. That this is the number one person on the planet to talk about dinosaurs. So I'm getting really spoiled to get to talk with these people and enjoy and learn.
What's your are you just like naturally curious? Because when you're interviewing so many different people about so many different things all the time, like coming up with questions, and it's also live for the most part, like how do you prepare? Or are you just, like I said, so naturally curious where you kind of go into it, say, okay, I'm going to ask this question and then go with the flow? What's your process?
Yeah, it's kind of like a mix. Like I like to be prepared, right? You know, because and also a big part of it is, and you know this because you do interviews. If you want a good interview, you got to break the ice somehow, right? So, and especially these days, now you could do research on a person. You could find out, oh, wow, they also went to Stuyvesant High School like me. Oh, they grew up in Queens and Forest Hills. No way. Okay, so now you have something to talk about. But when it comes to the actual topic, I want to be a little mystified. I want to be a little sense of wonder, like the audience. So I don't want to know everything. Yeah. And all right, every once in a while, I always say that I'm good for one silly question per interview because I'm not a paleontologist.
Well, that's what makes it fun and interesting is that you have you're able to talk to different people, and I mean, so many different people and so many different experiences, which is just so cool.
Yeah, it's a blast. I mean, thank God,
Do you have? I mean, I'm trying to think of some of my favorites, but how do you even measure up? Do you have certain interviews or things that you've done that just totally stick out? And you're like, I remember when I did this one, and that was totally unexpected, or that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think like recently one where I thought I was actually going to throw up waiting to do it was John Fogerty from Creedence Clearwater Revival. Yeah. Like it was one of these things where they said, oh, John Fogerty is playing his 80th birthday concerts at the Beacon. I got an email from Surefire Media, and I've dealt with them before, and I wrote back, I was like, oh, is he talking to anybody? And they're like, oh, let me check. And they're like, oh, if you want, you can come to this place in Weehawken and you could have 5 minutes with him. And it was like 4 PM, way past my bedtime. Like usually I'm already, And I was like, yeah. So I go there, and I think CBS this morning show had been there a couple hours before, so they're wrapping up. And it's just me with my little rig because I shoot all my own stuff, right, for the most part. And there he is, John Fogerty. And I'm just like, I might throw up because I was just, I was like, John Fogerty. I'm like, come on. So that was a good one. I mean, I love music. I'm a big rock and roll fan, big punk rock fan. So anytime I interviewed Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols at the Museum of Art and Design, they had a punk rock flyer show, graphics.
I feel like he's one of those people that, you can interview, but he's almost impossible to interview because he just has his own.
I was so scared. I was like, this guy, he's going to either be cool or make mincemeat of me, right? And it turned out he was like, this is crazy. He was like a proper British gentleman that day. I don't know what happened. I thought he was going to be like, all right, let's get this over with. Come on. And do a bad word. Instead, he was like, oh, hello. I was like, what the hell's going on here? And it was funny. So afterwards, his manager came over to me and he goes, you got him on a good day.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I'll take it.
That's cool. And when you go out to a lot of music, I mean, I see you music, festivals, concerts and everything, food, like all stuff that's up my alley. And it's funny, actually, people always ask me, because like, oh, restaurants, nightlife, they need a restaurant reservation or they need a recommendation for, I have 6 people, my mother-in-law is going to be in town and we have to go to this. I know, but I'm also like,
it's probably annoying, but
it is. But I always try to help people. That's just like restaurants or bars with like, certain specifics that need to be met. But I feel like because you're out everywhere reviewing everything, are people constantly asking you like, hey, Roger, I'm going to be in this neighborhood and I need this and I need that for recommendations?
They do. What's a cool, and you probably get this too, because you were just telling me a story about you being at a restaurant and seeing someone who was like, oh, I found out about this from you.
Yeah.
And that's the number one coolest compliment I can get. Someone will say, like a woman sent me a picture the other day from the lobby of the Waldorf Astoria. Yeah. Because I had done a preview on their new restaurant opening. And very well, the gentleman from Gramercy Tavern is doing it. And it was really wonderful experience. But it was so cool. She went out of her way to message me a photo. She's like, this place is really cool.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, people, nice. It's like every morning in so many people's homes on the TV, like there you are. And there's all these things going on in the news. And like so often, then all of a sudden you come on. It's like something fun so often, something interesting, something like, oh, I should go check that out.
Yeah, you hope. Yeah.
Do you get that a lot? What's the reaction when you just like walk down the street?
I mean, I think like the New York One folks, we tend to have, this is this is what I think, is that since it's almost like we're family and we're so local that people will stop me everywhere. Yeah. Like it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I could be with my kid. And I'm fine with it. I'm used to it. He's used to it. My wife's sort of used to it. Sometimes.
It's like, come on, we got to go.
But I think like they might not stop like a network person, like someone like from AB, like I don't know, George Stephanopoulos. I don't know if they might be like, oh, that's George Stephanopoulos.
Yeah, well, they'll walk by.
I'm, yo, Georgie, what's up? You know, exactly. They're like, Roger, hey, you know. So that's cool, right? That's the ultimate compliment, right?
That's fun though. That's what people stop you, they talk to you, or they see, they talk to you about the things that they see you doing, the places that you've been, or you got to go check out this place or that place.
I think the only time it almost worked against me, it was funny. I was taken by someone. He was little. He was on a scooter. We were crossing Fifth Avenue to go to Central Park, and there was a woman at the bus stop, and so we get the green light, and all right, my son's like this tall, and he's, and so we're like, go, and she's like, Roger, and I kept going, and she messaged me later. She goes, that was very disappointing to stop. I was like, well, I really didn't want my son to get hit by a bus on a scooter. Yeah. But that was but that was one of the few times I kind of heard her saying, and I confessed that I was in the midst of crossing a major street with my small child. Yeah. So, but otherwise, that's pretty cool. Otherwise, I stop. I don't care. I want to talk. In fact, I always say, this is funny. I always say, you're making a big mistake stopping me.
Yeah.
Because I talk too much.
I was just going to say.
You will miss an appointment if you ask.
You'll flip it on
Like you're hearing me talk now, right? Can you imagine like someone's like got 30 seconds?
I'm sitting on the side of the street.
And I'm like, well, let me tell you something else, lady.
Yeah. That's good. Let's talk food. So we've had you moderate panels with us about the state of the restaurant industry. You did one over at the restaurant show with us when you were talking or interviewing a bunch of like family-owned restaurants. Yeah, so you had, I think it was like Jake from Katz's Delicatessen.
Classic, right?
Nears from Nears Tavern, and a bunch of different people, which were all, like family-owned, local, beloved restaurants.
You mentioned Loyson, who was such a cool guy and saved that place, right? It's like great.
Yeah, I was just out with dinner actually at Sinead's house recently on Staten Island, and that's where what you were referring to before. I was, walking out of the restroom, and there was another woman walking towards it, and she's like, hey, we were at the table next to you. I saw your video. That's how I found out about this restaurant. That's why I'm here. So
people must love seeing you out because you like walking the walk, right? I mean, because you are representing all these great businesses and many of them family owned and small. And then there you are supporting them on almost every night. I mean, I feel like I say, so that's great.
Yeah, it's nice when you get to see people and like they're grateful. And I'm always like just a people person. So I love when I get the opportunity to hear people in that like, unfiltered kind of real, catching them on the street, telling you what they think and that banter back and forth, it's important. I think that's why, again, the different people that you're talking to get, kind of pulled in to these stories. Yeah. What did you do before because how many years did you say in New York?
Yeah. I mean, I've been there. This is the 25th year. So next year will be my 25 years. It's coming up on 24. But before that, so I went to college, studied broadcast journalism at Syracuse University. Now it's broadcast and digital journalism. Okay. The major has totally changed its name for obvious reasons. And then after that, back then, you were always told that you have to start in a small market. Yeah. Like you can't just knock on Eyewitness News' door and say, hey,
I'm here.
I'm on TV. Can I be on TV? So I started I went from like a small town radio station in Oneonta, New York, where many viewers may be like, oh, I went to college there. My kid goes to college there. But I actually lived there. I was, as we say, a townie, right? Mm-hmm. And I worked at this little tiny AM and FM radio station and, did the news. And when I first started, my New York accent was so prevalent that people were calling the station. I don't understand what he's saying. Slow down. Yeah. And I'd be like, okay. I think that's why I don't have it as much anymore because I had to enunciate and inflect more, kind of miss my accent. Yeah. But so I went from there. I went from Oneonta to, right after that, I went to Newburgh, New York. And then I was in Poughkeepsie, and then I was down in White Plains at WFAS for a while. All again, small local radio station. Then back up to Poughkeepsie, and I got on really tiny TV cable show up there, which is how I got the job at New York One. Yeah, so it was about 9 years away, but never was too far. Yeah. Always striking distance. Like even Oneonta, I could hop on a bus
and be back in New York.
Hudson Valley, the train, Metro North stop there. It was perfect. So I was always able to visit the folks and stuff. Yep. And
what with like the change you had mentioned, like now it's broadcast journalism and digital. What has changed? I mean, because I'm thinking about a lot of things that you do, like where you're going in, whatever sporting event or whatever concert or whatever fun activity is also like very social media friendly. Like what you're doing actually, because everyone's talking about how just the news is changing and obviously the prevalence of social media. But what you're doing, obviously it's like on the regular news on TV, but it's also like a very, I feel, social friendly type of news.
Yeah, I mean, and we had no choice. You know, when I still remember Pat Kiernan, our morning anchor, telling me about Twitter and saying you should do this. Oh, wow. And I was like, this is gonna be a fad. In fact, my Twitter handle and my Instagram handle is Roger Clark 41, and people were like, 41, what's that? Yeah. Well, basically it's because Tom Seaver was my baseball idol, and he was number 41 on the Mets. Yeah. But I did that in and say Roger Clark News, Roger Clark TV, Roger Clark New York, because I was kind of like, this is
what is this?
Yeah. So I was like, Roger Clark 41, sure. Yeah. Little did I know.
Social media handles
a part of life.
Yeah. So even like old email addresses, I still have my Hotmail account, but like mine just like basically almost my name, but like with just like random numbers or little things that mean something. That's cool. So,
but so that's but yeah, I mean, like. It's like a second job sometimes. Yeah. I mean, anywhere I am, I'll have my story and then I'll post my story. A lot of people will watch it, like say they live out of town. Like some of my Facebook friends are people who lived in New York City and then moved and they don't have access to New York One. So I'll post it on Facebook. I'll post it on Instagram. So you're getting more traction, out of the story. Cool. So yeah.
So where places you gone for? Let's talk about food and let's talk about activities. Since you go around, I'm actually going to do to you what I said I don't like people always doing to me, but I always make recommendations. I'm more than happy to do it for people. Yeah. When you go out, like pizza.
It depends on the borough, right? Like for instance, Staten Island. Yeah. I love Joe and Pat's. Yes. That's always been my favorite. No offense to Donino's, which is closer to where my dad grew up in Port Richmond, but Mariners Harbor area. And I love Donino's, but I there's something about Joe and Pat's because there's more sauce than cheese. It's a thinner crust. And I don't know what I love that pizza. And you could also, similar pizza is at Pier 76, which is right by the ferry on Bay Street. Okay. I tell tourists to go there because I'll tell them, first of all, you got to take the Staten Island ferry. It's free. It's the best deal in town. You can get a beer on it, right? If you desire. Okay.
Or two, depending on how quickly you drink.
Well, I always say, used to be like, if you get the Foster's oil can, you're gonna have to do a little chugging. But if you just get a plain beer, that's good for the 25-minute ride. Yeah, you should be okay. Yeah, you don't want to be like, okay, everybody off the boat. You're like,
I'm not done. Well, listen, you can always go back and forth, I guess.
Right, exactly. But then I tell people,
a 50-minute trip.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Then there's plenty of time. But yeah, no, you go across the street, right up on Bay Street, and there's that Pier 76, and they're related to the people from Joe and Pat's. I'm not sure how.
I didn't know. Okay,
very similar pizza. It tastes just as good.
See, that's like a real thing. That's how you learn because, like there's so many places you can go out, but knowing like, what, just hop on the ferry, you go there, get have your beer, go there, have a slice or two, and then come back.
Yeah. And now they also even like, there's a great brew pub over there on the North Shore. Yeah. And there's Flagship Brewery has a place over there. Sure. So like, there's so many opportunities. So people think, oh God, Staten Island, and my dad lives there and I lived there when I was a kid. So I could tell you that, and that there's some good restaurants there.
Yeah, I was just like I said, travel. I was just at Shawnee's house. We were talking about our friend Massimo over at Don Cheech.
Right. Oh, it was just so good. Yeah, very good, amazing food. We went there for Father's Day last year and took the family. Great people, and they really invested in the community there in the North Shore. Absolutely. Which is good.
And it's great food. And he's such a character as one of I have so much fun. Like that's again, going back to, I think a little bit of what I do, but really what you do, going out and talking to different people and the different personalities. And I feel like, especially in food, restaurants, bars, you get such a mix of just characters and great people that have great stories and they contribute so much to the neighborhood, and people go out of their way to go visit these different businesses and they're really part of the fabric of the communities.
And don't you love the old school, like, when the guy who runs the restaurants there and he's like, slams you in the back, how's the food, Raj? Like, oh, that's great, thanks. Exactly. I always have happy memories of you going to this place in Queens growing up called King Yum on Union Turnpike. It's no longer there, Sally, but it was like this old, the old school Chinese restaurant where they give you the noodles and duck sauce. Oh.
I wish, and it would be something in like the wooden bowl,
with the wooden bowl for the noodles and the duck sauce, and then they bring out the little pot of tea and those little cups. And
I know.
And at the end of the dinner, they give you a wet towel, a hot towel to wipe your. I mean, I was like, but Jimmy, the owner, would always every time he's in a suit every night, and he's like, "How was dinner?"
I know.
Like, how was dinner? Like, and you don't get. Sometimes you don't get that all the time.
That's a generational thing, that old school restaurateur, so often it was like the immigrant came over here, started as like a dishwasher, ended up opening their own restaurant, sometimes a couple of restaurants, and was always there, and I always love the places similar to that where like, you go there and the guy comes over, like slaps you on the back, but tells you the story and you're like, I've heard that story from you like the past 15 years that I've been coming here. And they've perfected the story. They just go from table to table and it just constantly works. And there's something that's so, charming and warming, and inviting about it that makes these places special. All right. So Staten Island, spoke about a couple of restaurants. What about pizza or anything else?
Brooklyn, I do still love L&B Spumoni Garden.
I feel like I saw you there not too long ago.
Definitely.
The past year or so.
Oh, recently. I was doing a shoot at Brooklyn Bridge Park and I hit the new one. Okay. Which they have is across the street Pizza Alley over there with the Maldi's.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But they opened a new one. So I was there and I brought home a pie for lunch. The family was thrilled. They were like, amazing. Nice surprise. Yeah. And then of course I love, people are New Yorkers and they're so passionate. Like I posted, hey, I got a pie at the new, and everybody's like, oh, well, let me tell you something.
Oh, I know.
It doesn't taste as good there because they're not using the old pans that they use at the one in Gravesend. And I'm like, really? Is that that specific?
Well, that's what everyone, there's like this folklore, these things that come, it's always, it's like always they say, right? Like New York bagels and pizzas because of the water. And I guess that's true, but I don't know if it's really true, but it doesn't matter if it's true or not. Like it's just, of course it's about the water, and the water's better here. The old oven, the this, the that.
But we're not going to mention names, so you can get a lousy bagel and a lousy slice in New York. I don't care. Anybody who says, "Oh, every slice of pizza in New York is the best," no, they're wrong. It's absolutely wrong. Like you can get some yucky pizza. No offense, and I'm not mentioning names. And sometimes you go to a bagel place, and what they call the hole with the roll. Wait, the roll with the hole. Yeah. The hole with the roll. The hole with the what's that? I have no idea what that is. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, there's so many, listen, and that's the other thing too. Now, even going back with like social media, and it's like all these influencers going, you have to have, this is the best pizza, or this is the best bagel and stuff. And sometimes maybe it's true, but other times like it's just the hype. But there's also something to be said about like that neighborhood place that even if it's not the best, there's something about it. It's been there for so many years. So you have memories of going there when you were a kid, going with your family.
Yeah, Eddie's Sweet Shop is one I remember going as a kid in Forest Hills. Like, I don't know if it was Eddie, but there was always a gentleman there and there was an older woman. It might have been the mom, but I still have it in my head. I can smell the place. Yeah. And I haven't been there in a while and I need to go back, but that's the kind of place like you're talking about. And it's unbelievable when these families keep these places going.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like unbelievable.
And a lot of times, unfortunately what's happening, we're seeing like with diners a lot, but all different types of businesses. I mean, even my family's bakery, the kids, the next generation of kids, just didn't take it over. And then, you lose them. Sometimes you get lucky and somebody else comes in and, will keep the legend going. But even that can be really tough because so often the magic is in those people.
I think that's what happened up. We had a place up in Yorkville where Glazer's Bakery, which was there for many, many years. And it was right around the corner from when my son went to preschool at St. Joseph's of Yorkville School. And it was, talk about, after school, I pick him up and we go around the corner, go in there, and immediately some woman is reaching over and giving the kid a cookie. Yeah. Like that is like to get the free cookie. And then I'm buying cookies. Right? I'm not walking out with a free cookie. Thanks.
Well, like, listen, the diner right by me, a guy would come out and run out to my daughter and like, give her a cookie, or goes in, pats him on the head, or, and we just had by me actually, so there was the old, on the Upper West Side, Silver Moon Bakery, which closed, that people love.
By the Abbey Pub.
And another one.
The Abbey Pub closed right then Silver Moon.
And then there was Broadway Restaurant, which is a diner that was there for a million years that I loved so much. I mean, the place was such a hole in the wall, and you'd walk in and it was like nothing had changed from the day that it opened. And I think there was like one picture of Elvis Presley on the wall and then like, the old Coca-Cola sign from like the 1950s. And, the same people have probably been working there since the place opened. such good French toast. And I would go there with my daughter, you know, and you'd sit up at the counter and it was all worn out and the little chairs that would turn and, you know, whatever the material on the chairs all worn. And, you know, it was beat up, but it was part of the charm. But anyways, that closed, Silver Moon closed, but someone bought the equipment from Silver Moon and the recipes and brought the people working, some of the bakers and some of the other team, and reopened Silver Moon, although it's not Silver Moon Bakery, it has no name at this point, in the Broadway restaurant shop.
Oh, that's great.
So it's amazing. So it was like I said, you know, it was happens, like right? Silver Moon Bakery and Broadway restaurant had a baby and has no name yet. And it's this great little place. And it's kind of bringing together two beloved neighborhood spots.
It's comfort food, literally, right?
I hope, yeah. And it's great because you walk by and you see them rolling the dough and making the challah bread, and all the breads are great. But again, something like people connect with. So we talked about Brooklyn. Anything else in Brooklyn?
Well, I mean, I love the roast beef wars. Yeah, I mean, you know, so you have Brennan and Carr over in the Marine Park area, which is so old. I finally got my wife and my kid over there for the first time. They didn't understand what to do. I was like, no, just get the roast beef sandwich and have it dipped, maybe twice. In the broth, and just it's scrumptious. I mean, it's absolutely good. But Roland Roaster's good too, and Sheepshead Bay. Like I don't know, people. And this is how I argue. If I post a picture from one, someone else says, "No, the other place is better."
I know. Well, that's the thing when you start. I mean, I love it. I mean, people get angry. You know, when it comes to like your bagels, your pizza, and your food, which one's better? I mean, people are just so committed to their team. It's like sports. You know,
people like fighting on a Facebook post.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I'm like, who are you people? Why are you fighting over a stupid roast beef sandwich?
The good thing is, listen, you can have both, or prefer one over the other. Go to the one that you love.
Right? Yeah. It is. It's whatever makes you happy. I mean, I think. I mean, look, you get stuck sometimes. You're in a pinch. You grab a slice of pizza somewhere. You're like,
Yeah. I know. I'm going to bring my daughter, who's 10. We were leaving the airport and there was traffic, so we're driving all around. So we ended up going past Don Pepe's. I was explaining like the lore to her, you know, because I think about it when I was a kid, you know, and you'd go there. So what else in Queens? You have any other?
Queens. Let's see. Parkside Italian restaurant, like old school. A Corona Ice King, lemon Ice King of Corona, still the best. Unbelievable, still in that same corner.
I know.
Oh, I mean, and then you got Mama's over there, Leo's Latticini, right? So they're still kicking and still get a great sandwich there. Sandwich King in Astoria.
Yeah, I used to live 2 blocks.
Oh my God,
I know.
Sandwiches put you in a food coma.
Yes, that is so. I was just talking. We need more great. I feel like there's more great sandwich place open. That is, I always like the Italian combo there. Like my brother, I think always got the bomb. That was the one.
That's that gigantic.
Yeah, I mean they're all gigantic, but the bomb was like a little different than the Italian combo, which I always lean to. But I remember actually my daughter on her first birthday, we did it in Central Park, and I told my wife, I'm like, we're just gonna go get like a hero from Sandwich King and Sal, Chris, and Charlie's, and it was so good. But that was like a very selfish catering, but they were one, so I said they're not going to be eating it anyway. But
you gotta sometimes you gotta.
But I did, I put it in, you just put it on her mouth, like can lick it or take. But there's no way they can get their mouth around that thing.
How would they even eat that? You'd have to like chop it up into little bits.
It's as big as like a 1-year-old.
It's impossible. That thing is crazy. But no, you're right. I mean, I meant like you got DeFonte's in Red Hook in Brooklyn. There's a great. I mean, over on Arthur Avenue, there's Tino's Deli on the corner 187th and Arthur, which is absolutely scrumptious. He's great. He's always there. The guy, he's there. The whole family's still there.
Check that out.
Oh, really good. Yeah. Great chicken parm out of this world. And then now I found, and I actually found this on social media. I'm watching Instagram and this guy's like, look, these people have a meatball cone. And a sandwich, and it looks like an ice cream cone with meatballs. This place G&R Deli, which is on Williamsbridge Road.
I know.
So I went there, but I didn't get the meatball cone because I wasn't. I was like, let me try the chicken parm. Unbelievable.
No, that place is amazing.
Unbelievable.
We actually gave them the Hospitality Alliance. We do our Hospitality Alliance awards, and they were given an award one year, and I think for our district dining guide maybe that we're doing, where we have different government officials recommend like a go-to restaurant in their district. They actually put GNR one of the years. So
yeah, it's really it's like out of central casting. Like you walk in and the salamis are hanging.
Yeah,
and it's like
the people and everything. You go, it's that overall experience where it all like I love going up. We were talking about the Bronx, the municipal market, and going in.
Oh yeah, and Mike's right.
Yeah, I know. Dave Greco is the best. So nice every people. Time we go there and
you got the brew pub there.
Yeah.
Those
good
guys
friends.
are great.
I know. Yeah.
You know what's funny? When I was in GNR, you're gonna love this because as a New Yorker, you'll get it. But so I'm in there, and it's a little bit of a line, and I tend to not wait on lines, but I was like, I need this chicken parm hero right now.
Yeah.
So I'm on the line, and the lady's outside. She goes, Hey, the traffic guy's here. Who's parked out here? You're going to get a ticket. Like, I love it because that's like, you need that watchdog. You need that lady to help all of us not get a ticket while we're waiting to get our chicken parm hero.
I know.
You need that woman.
You do. It's so important. I mean, these are the things that you get to see when you're out there. I don't know why it just made me think of that, just kind of being live shots. Because when you're doing TV, back to that, and you're doing live shots, like, it's not like a live shot in the studio where, like, I don't know, maybe you start coughing or something and like you got to figure it out. Like you're on the street.
A little more self-contained.
Where like anything can happen. If you had situations, because I was just thinking early on in the pandemic, I think it was with you. We were on 100th and Broadway.
Yeah, we were by the Metro Diner, right?
Yeah, right by the Metro Diner. Yeah. And there was like a person that just came out of nowhere with a long stick or something, and they were like swinging it around. And there was like, they were swinging around. We're like, there's no one around. It was like, I don't know.
It was the heart of the pandemic. Yeah, it was like really creepy.
Maybe it was May. 2020. It was pretty early on. And I remember them swinging around the shoe stick. We're like, and we're going live. But thankfully everything was all right. No one got hurt. They ended up going the other way.
My crew is pretty tough. Like they're pretty big guys. They'll be okay. I always feel safe with them.
Do people like run by and like Roger or like do stuff?
I've had a couple of famous ones. I had a good one in Sunnyside one time when the guy was like, and I usually just go thank you, and then get back to it. Like that's you don't want to get too distracted, but it's sometimes it's you can get a little. It's hard not to.
Yeah, well the show must go on.
Interesting city.
I know. Get to meet all these different people and where they are.
Yeah, no, it's been good, but no, thank God. I mean, it's let's see. You asked me about the boroughs. I'm thinking if I missed anything. I mean, obviously Manhattan. Yeah.
Right? So what about Manhattan? I mean, that's
I mean, my neighborhood. I love like my home away from home is a place called Rife's Tavern, which is a third. Third generation family. Has been around for more than 80 years. It's a 92nd and 2nd right by Delicia Pizza, and that's a great landmark.
Yes.
And you go in the place, the wood paneling, the pictures of the old softball teams, pictures of the Yankee. It's weird. They're Yankees, Rangers, Giants, and I'm Mets, Jets, Rangers. So thank God I have the Rangers, or else they would not let me hang out there. Yeah.
Wait, you said they're Islanders?
Oh no, they're Rangers.
Oh, they're
God,
okay. I was going to say,
See, I'm pretty sure Islanders fans aren't actually permitted. And there actually is this one guy, Sean, who likes the Islanders. So he's, we always bust his chops when.
And there's always like one guy that like whatever is, wears the other shirt.
It's more Yankees, more Giants, but Rangers all the way.
Yeah.
But they're cool. Like, when the Mets were in the World Series, like, could you maybe turn it on?
Yeah. It's like,
could you guys turn on the Mets game? Like the Mets game's not on. I'm like, what's wrong with you people? Like, it's funny. Like, we're just messing with you. It's on.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see, the World Cup next year is going to be.
Right. Oh my gosh. Great for business in the sports bars.
I mean, I remember in Astoria, like, Greece, Italy, like, the streets when it would get taken over,
Insane.
like just marches and, good for business. But we do have so many like different neighborhoods, immigrants, different backgrounds and everything. So it'll be so interesting. I'm sure you'll be out there in these neighborhoods, like, whatever country's team's winning and just how excited people are. And
there's
they
a place
light up
for everything. Yeah. I mean, like always a great place to watch. And I did it one time was at the Beer Garden, right? The Bohemian Ball. That place, it's unbelievable. I lived in Astoria, I want to say it was like early 2000s.
Okay.
Because I moved back to New York in August of 2001. So it was maybe 2002, and I was living in Astoria, and I met a friend, and they said, "Oh, have you been to the beer garden?" I was like, "Beer garden?" I was like, "I have no idea." I really, honestly, I had no idea what they were talking about, because I grew up in Rego Park, Forest Hills, and there was certainly no beer gardens there. There's a lot of Jewish delis, But so we go over there, and it was a bunch of old Czech guys smoking and drinking, and it wasn't that crowded. I swear, the next year, something happened. Boom, and it just you couldn't get into place.
No, it was packed.
It was crazy.
What I always thought about was so interesting, especially when people didn't know, is because you'd walk in. And just like a little bar, and if you go off to the right, you can go to the hall where they do weddings and all this stuff. But you go to the left, and it opens up into this beer garden that's just massive.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Expansive,
it's like a foot. With the walls, the big stone walls.
I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, what is this place? And it was something, and maybe I didn't do a lot of German food when I was a kid. There was some great old ones I think Niederstein's was down Metro, in Queens, and there was a place called Triangle Hofbrau in Richmond Hill that was really famous. But my family, we didn't really, in Forest Hills where I lived, it's crazy. You talk about the Jewish delicatessen, right? And I'm talking about, there was 4 of them. Walking distance, 4 that we had to choose from, and there was, there was one, there was Sandy's, there was Ben's, which was famous and the more recently closed. I mean, there was Pastrami King down by the courthouse, Queens Boulevard by Borough Hall. Insane, so it was crazy. So we did a lot of that, and that was another place where you could expect an elderly gentleman in a smock to be very rude to you. And if you better know what you want, right away. And if you think for 5 seconds, he's like, come on.
I know. And just sitting there.
But now I miss it.
All right, next,
Yeah, now I miss it. I miss that guy.
I know. I still like going to places where they have the numbers. I go to Zay bars, and you still, you take a number like the deli counter. That's good. But Bohemian Beer Garden. There's actually another place. It was actually, I think it's still. And I can't think of the name of it, but a couple blocks from Bohemian Beer Garden, Astoria, used to go when I was in my early 20s. But it's still a Czechoslovakian restaurant.
Yeah.
So
right on the other side of the train.
Right in the
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Kaliba, I think it is. Yeah. They had a great duck. I remember I used to go get duck, and it had these sides, and it was so heavy, and they had something called. What did the bartenders? And it was funny because most of the women bartenders there, they lived in Sheepshead Bay or out by Coney Island, and they take the train all the way there. I think they were related. To the owner or something, but they always would have some different, traditional, Czech or Slovakian, drinks or something. They had one called the Herbs, and they'd always be like, "You're a man." It's I think so. Yeah, drink this. And you're like, "Oh, you take it."
When they do that,
they're just like birds. You're like, going down exactly.
That neighborhood's riches of food. I took it for granted when I lived there, and now I'm sad that I don't live there anymore, because you have Stamatis, you have Telly's for Greek.
It's delicious.
Oh my God, ridiculous. Then you have Rose and Joe's Bakery with the pizza and the cookies, and then you have Julie around the corner for Italian pastry. It's ridiculous. Rosario.
I know.
I mean, are you kidding me? It's all within 3
everywhere.
The Sandwich King is a couple blocks away.
I know. They're so good. It really is amazing. And then you go also over. So I lived off Ditmars, but before that, I used to live on Newtown Road. So on the other side of Steinway. And, over there you have all different, Egyptian restaurants, all types of Middle Eastern restaurants.
I used to love Rizzo's Pizza.
Yeah.
Rizzo's is great pizza. Yeah. I was sad. Rizzo's opened up on Lexington Avenue on the Upper East Side, right when we moved in. It's 14 years ago. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is God sending me a message. Rizzo's is here, but sadly they didn't make it in the neighborhood up there. So now Rosa's Pizza has a place on Madison.
Do they? Well, I was just going to say Trattoria L'Incontro, which was on 31st and Ditmars. They closed, but they opened, I think, on the Upper East Side.
Yeah, I haven't visited yet the new place.
I have to go,
I would like to go. Oh, he's great. Oh, that's good
Rocco.
Food. That's good food,
yeah. There's so much good stuff. All right, so let's make it back. So we're in Queens. So we started we're in Staten Island. We did Brooklyn. We did Queens. We did a little bit of the Bronx. We're in Manhattan. We were talking about other places from other boroughs that came into Manhattan. But what about places in Manhattan food wise?
Yeah, I mean, pizza wise, I love John's down in the Village. John's, and obviously, you got to sit, and you're not going to get a slice there. So, but I love their salads too. I don't know what it is, but something about their salad. They put them in the wooden bowls, and it has that Italian vinaigrette. It's good.
That's good.
I'll take it.
All right. So what about going out and doing things? So like, museums, like, is there anything like, did you see so you go out and do these things for work? Are there things that you go back like with your family and you're like, oh, you know what? I went and saw this place.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, especially like concert venues. I love Forest Hill Stadium.
Yes.
I think they do a great job there. Mike Luba and the crew. Last year we went to see Killers, the Killers there.
Oh,
so
nice.
we took my son, my sister came. So it was like a family affair. So it was my wife, my sister, and my son.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool. So he got to bond with his aunt a little. We had a blast at that one. We're pretty spoiled, like a lot of great concert venues. Then the small ones, like I love Bowery Electric, Jesse Mallon's place down there. So yeah, there's so many opportunities, right?
I know, so many fun things. I want to talk a little bit more like job wise and like career wise, what you do. Like, it's such an interesting, fun role, but it's obviously work as well. What's like the most fulfilling part of it? Like, is there something like what keeps you going?
Well, my job changed a lot, like during the pandemic. Okay. I mean, so I do more. And I think that's the same for a lot of people, a lot of people in every business, every world. You've been asked to do more work. It's just the nature of the business. So for me, in the old days, before the pandemic, I would, go out. I would have my live shots in the morning, live segments, and then I would go shoot my piece for the next day. I'd have a photographer with me shooting, and then I would write the story and I would put my voice on it, and and then an editor would edit it.
Oh wow!
Now, for the past about 5 years, I shoot everything myself on this.
Yeah.
Which, like, everything. And then I write it, I get it approved, put my voice on it, edit it myself, usually now in my bedroom. Like, I do have a desk at New York One, but it's the pandemic taught everybody, like, I don't need to be in the office with my job. So if I'm going to be working now 2-3 hours longer than I would have been in the old days, it's probably better to end my day at home.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like I'll be like wrapping up editing my piece for the next day, and I'm like, dinner time, Yeah,
and you have the time there versus being, stuck in transit. There's certain
then I have
jobs.
to commute 45 minutes on the subway. So so it's definitely been, and I also, like I said, I come up with most of my own stories. So like I could be editing, and then like someone is texting me like, all right, so this is where you need to meet us tomorrow for the shoot for the next day. So it's nonstop, like literally nonstop. But at the end of the day, when the people I'm doing the story for like it, like we did a story on Friday, it was great in Bed-Stuy with this organization called Stoops Art.
Oh, I saw that.
Unbelievable. So the PR person who handled it is this woman, Meryl Cooper, who is amazing. And she kind of gets it. We've worked together so many. So she brought like 2 dancers, a woman playing a Colombian flute.
Yes.
A bunch of cute kids in a story time. And so when the piece came out, I was actually like, wow, this is really fast. Yeah. So then the next day it runs, and Pat Kiernan himself, our morning anchor, he texted me, he goes, that was a really good piece. Yeah. Like, I love that.
Yes.
And the people were happy. They're like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you for because it's not like people are knocking on their doors. Hey, we want to put you on TV. Like, and that's when it really means something. And they'll call me the next week and say, guess what? We sold out. We had a full house. Wow. And I'm like, okay.
That's incredible.
That's what makes it all worth it. And sometimes I'll send it to our WebEx channel. Like if I get a note like that, I'll say, hey guys, look how much money like we do the annual Coalition for the Homeless Toy Drive, and they'll get this giant spike after we do the story. Yeah. And I'll always usually send it to them, hey guys, we did something. Yeah. And that's what really makes it worth it. You're putting these groups in the spotlight that they really need the help. There's a lot of, the arts funding is getting cut everywhere, and it's good. I'm actually getting a little, not teary-eyed, but it's getting, just to think about it.
No, it's great.
That's when it feels good.
I saw that. I was watching and I actually thought the same thing. It was so nice how I saw there was like kids on the sidewalk, but they had like some blanket down and they were doing something. And then I saw they were on, some people, they were doing like a dance. You saw the guy, I'm not even going to try and pop and lock or what the guy was doing. But
it was unbelievable.
That was incredible.
I think they call it crumping.
Yeah, but it was like crumping, but it was his own style.
Yeah, he just showed up out of nowhere, like regular clothes. He goes, okay, what do you need me to do? And he's like,
well, that's nice too when you have people, because you are like out there putting this together, when you have people that show up and bring the different components.
That's what makes it worth
really
it.
Tells
then
the
I don't feel so bad. Sometimes I'm like, I mean, you're always like, whatever you work, so many people work so hard, and some days you're like, Or like my kid has a game at 5 o'clock and I was like, I'm rushing because I want to get to the game, you know, and it's like, oh my God, I only have an hour. I got to get this, you know, and then someone calls and goes, can you do this? You know, I'm sure.
Of course. Yeah.
So like, so some days you get that, but in the end, when it gets on TV, and people like it, you're like, okay, we're good.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. And listen, the pandemic changed, you know, so much that during the pandemic, I'm trying to think now because so much of what you do is live shots and being out there. I mean, I remember, you know, doing so many street interviews and, you know, there was a long pole with the microphone and we're, you know, at least 6 feet apart.
We could have fought that guy with the stick with the pole.
Exactly. Come on, man. You know, with masks on and everything. But you see so much of it now, you know, where it used to be, I remember, you know, like I had to go to the studio and like sometimes I would meet someone on the street, you know, or they'd come to the office. But I feel like the pandemic changed so much of that where obviously, you know, you Zoom or whatever virtual way into these news shows at your desk or from home.
Yeah. It was creepy though at the beginning. Yeah, it was. Because I had pneumonia. So it was weird. I still remember it was St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. Obviously we're inside. So I remember I went to like the supermarket and got like a couple of Guinnesses. So at least I could be like, I'm celebrating St. Patrick's Day. And the Dropkick Murphys had a live free concert on from Fenway Park on TV. So I threw that up on the computer. I'm drinking a Guinness and I'm kind of like, oh, gee, I'm a little running out of breath a little bit. I got pneumonia. But I don't ever know if I had COVID or not. So it knocked the heck out of me. My son thought I was dying. It was terrible. So when I recovered and went back, I was out for a couple of weeks. And you know, you go inside and even though you had the mask on, you're like, what the hell is going on? Like nobody knew. Like we've got all kinds of different information. It was a little scary.
It was
a little scary. I preferred the on the street interviews.
No, those were good, but it changed. I mean, it obviously just kind of changed the way so many things of just how people work and how you cover the news and stuff like that. You mentioned a little bit earlier about kind of you're doing these interviews and getting people comfortable. And I'm sure, you know, there's some people that you interview and, you know, you mentioned Bed-Stuy, you did these, you know, interviews and you've done stuff with the person you interviewed before. And some people are just super excited, but other people, I imagine like, you know, the camera turns on, the mics are on, you're live and all of a sudden they get, you know, nervous. Have you like perfected a technique to try and get people, you know, comfortable? I mean, you're such like a friendly, outgoing guy that's easy to talk to. So I feel like that probably puts people at ease. But what do you do if someone's like, you know, or you're talking about whatever it is and it's just not as exciting, you know? Like,
well, a lot of times, like people are getting pretty good these days. Like the PR and communications professionals are setting them up to not, you know, like, hey, 1-word answers don't fly. You know, but then like working with kids are a different story. So sometimes you have to really be careful. Kids can be great and it can be cute and it can be precocious. But if you're an example was I was doing this story about not the rodeo, bull riding at the Garden. And they brought me this prodigy, this kid. He was a prodigy and he was cute. He had this, you know, Texas accent with the big cowboy hat. It was bigger than his whole body. And I was like, so how's it feel to be here in New York City, you know, and be part of this big event? And he's like, very good, sir. Like, okay. So, I mean, wow, it must be really hard to ride a bull. I mean, that looks crazy. Yes. I'm like, oh no, here we go. And in my head, I'm panic. I'm like, like, how many more minutes of this? Like, so very rare, but that did happen. And he was a cute kid. He was great. I was like, you know, shook his hand, but I was like, that wasn't the greatest interview.
You never know what you're going to get. You know, obviously I do this show, but then we do like a lot of panel discussions and things like that. And, you know, there's certain people that on a one-on-one conversation, you know, they're just super outgoing or whatnot. And all of a sudden, they freeze up. You know, they don't know. You know, so you can totally, you know, get that. And it's your job to kind of be the cheerleader and keep it exciting and try to, you know, get stuff out of them. On a, I think I'm going to get an answer that's going to be upbeat and positive from you, but maybe not. You know, like the state of the city. Obviously, people are going to talk politics. They're going to have strong opinions about this and that. This isn't safe, or that's not fun, or this isn't how it used to be. It, needs to go back to the days. But you're in so many neighborhoods across the 5 boroughs. You're talking with people. What's your just personal opinion of the overall kind of vibe and the state of the city from your experience actually being with people and being in the places where people are? Are you positive and optimistic? Do you feel concerned? Do you feel somewhere in the middle? I
think, here's the thing. I'm raising a child here. He's more city than even I was, because I was in Rego Park, Forest Hills, Staten Island, most of my upbringing. So he's growing up on the Upper East Side in Yorkville area. And so he's really on the, basically and now, for the past couple of years, he goes baseball practice at Pier 40. He takes the subway by himself.
Yeah. How old is he now?
14.
Yeah.
So he's been doing it really since he's 11, 12. And, and then he comes back at night. Him and his buddies will go to the Shake Shack down there or Wingstop and get something for dinner. And then he's coming home basically kind of like I did when I was a kid. I used to go to Mets games when I was in 6th grade. Yeah. I'd go to Shea Stadium. Me and my buddies, we take the train, we buy $2 ticket and sit. And so I don't think I would have stayed here or let him if it was that bad. Yeah. It's still the greatest city in the world.
Me too.
I'm not we would be in, I don't know, Menlo Park or somewhere, Yeah,
no, listen, I feel the same way. I think, you have to recognize that there are real challenges, but there's always going to be challenges in any city, you know? And I think if you look at where we're talking about the pandemic and where we are, I just think there are still so many incredible people, incredible experiences. There are those challenges, but there's always going to be those challenges. And I think there's also going to be things just generationally. I always think about it with music, or going out, nightlife, the music today is never as good as it was when you were a teenager growing up. Or the nightlife, nightlife is dead, but it's really? Or is it just you're not going out now? There's a whole new world of nightlife. So I think, it's easy for people to kind of just nothing's ever as cool as when you were doing it.
It's not, and it gets, actually to me, it gets annoying when people complain about the old, because look, the city is ever changing and it's been changing. It was changing when we were kids too. Right. In 1979, there was a Sizzler on Queens Boulevard. In 67th Drive. It was gone by 85. Yep. Do I miss the Sizzler? Sure I do. Yeah. But you can't lament that the Sizzler closed 30 years ago. It's
I know. I always get, because so many people love outdoor dining, but we did have a few of our detractors. And I remember on the Lower East Side in particular, people would be Orchard Street, Ludlow, and be there shouldn't be outdoor dining here, and yelling and screaming. And then you'd go show them an old photo of all the push cart, vendors and everything. And my grandmother, it's so funny how times change. We may have talked about this on a previous episode, but one of my grandmothers, when she was a young girl, lived on Ludlow Street, and it was just this tenement, and I think there was a butcher shop, but then it was also a slaughterhouse, and maybe there was a funeral parlor. But now it's basically Ludlow House, the fancy private club, and things change, neighborhoods evolve. And I just think there's still a lot of people that are committed to making the city so special, but we do need to try and hold on to those classic restaurants.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I think it's a mix. But for instance, in my neighborhood, there's this great, and you've probably been over there, it's called Sienna. It's a new restaurant on 3rd Avenue. It's our go-to now for and it wasn't there there before the pandemic. Yep. So there'll be new favorites now, right? Now, 30 years from now, I hope they don't close. But if Sienna closes, it's oh my God, I can't believe Sienna's closing.
Have you done the interviewed? I don't know. It's the Sign Museum. They have a shop in Brooklyn somewhere, but I think they just opened a museum. It's all old restaurants and hardware stores. All these actually, that
place told me, they said, we'll take down your information and get back to you. It was weird. It was one of the few times. When they kind of blew me off and when they ghosted me.
That's so bizarre. That's how I feel now.
I figured it was a sign from the universe. Sorry.
No, that's a good one. Well, that was talking about Broadway Restaurant, which was a diner that now has, Silver Moon. They have the Broadway Restaurant sign up there still. And it's a amazing. It looks like they cleaned it up a little bit. And I saw like on one of the local, Upper West Side newspapers, like on the blog, that people were saying, please keep the Broadway restaurant sign, because it's like a slice of, of history. And I was explaining to my daughter about it. And, she's like, oh yeah, giving some big kind of like chain names examples. I was like, but it's different. Those are, in 100 years, Chipotle signs, like it just will look the same. But back in the day, every restaurant, hardware store, shoemaker, they had these unique signs. Many of them were like handmade. Yeah. Like my family's bakery, what was it? When my grandparents, my dad and everyone moved for the bakery from Brooklyn and opened one in Queens on Cross Bay, which is Sugar Bun. Originally,
I still can't believe that was you guys.
I know. It used to be, I think, in Honey Bun. And apparently,
very close to New Park Pizza.
Yeah, right across the street. Yeah, they couldn't, they couldn't afford like a full new sign. So they basically just changed Honey Bun. They kept the bun and put sugar.
That's so crazy.
And there's some, these types of old stores. Yeah. So it's such an interesting, now, new people own it. My aunt sold it, before the pandemic, and there's some, new sign. But, I think those signs kind of tell histories and are such a wonderful part of, New York City. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why.
You know what's crazy, though, about that bakery, your folks' bakery? So this is a funny, it's not even fun. So the first shuttle launch, after the one of the ones that went right to, and people were very right. There was a guy from Queens who was on the launch from right by Ozone Park, Park, close to the bakery. So we literally, this is crazy. I can't believe that the family and the old Italian grandmother, Italian family, Charlie, I think it was Charlie Camerado or something, said, "Oh yeah, come on in." So we're in these people's living room watching the launch and all like, oh my God, I hope nothing happens, right? Really scary, right? Really, like first day, launch gets scrubbed. Come back the next day. So on my way, I'm like, I felt like I'm a quarter Italian and in the Italian world and my Staten Island family, you do not show up somewhere without cookies or cake. You just can't.
I know. Like, you got it everywhere.
So I stopped at there. I got a pound or a couple pounds of cookies, and I show up and I'm like, ma'am.
Love it.
And she's like, what's this for? I'm like, well, I feel like I just needed to bring cookies.
Yeah, you can't show up
so I got
empty handed.
I still remember.
Oh, beautiful. No.
And the lunch went fine, just so you know.
Well, maybe it was the cookies.
But I still that was the craziest.
Wow, yeah.
But talk about a weird to be in this living room watching with this family, watching the shuttle go up and being like, oh my God, please, everything be okay.
Wow.
And it was great. And then months later, at the Museum of Natural History, he gave a speech. And I went over to him and I said, hey, I was in your mother's living room. And he looked at me like, he's like, great.
Yeah, good.
Like, maybe I should have said it that way.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and I brought her cookies.
Yeah. This is amazing. This is so much fun. We're going to have to do it again. It's like we see each other every so often, but one of the nice things is getting to see you almost every morning on
so
TV.
Much for having me,
so I see you and see all the great things you're doing. And thank you, because I feel like what you do really is truly a public service.
Oh, thanks, man.
And I know so many other people feel this very same way. So
back at you, and thank you for what you did, during the pandemic and being out there and supporting all these great businesses that many of them still alive. I really believe thanks to you guys.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Roger Clark, New York One News. Thank you so much for coming on Hospitality and Politics.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Yeah, hope so.
All righty.